Hi, greetings. It's me, Dr. Paul Gerhardt, and today I want to talk about how psychology affects the way that we interact with each other. If you think about it, we are all very busy people. We all have our own priorities and things that are important to us, and we're all making decisions each and every day. And one of the things that if you've taken other classes from me, you may have heard me say this over and over again. How we see things affects what we do, which affects the outputs or what we get. And it really says a lot about prioritizing. The quality of our decisions that we make affects the outcomes, the quality of the outcomes, the quality of our life, essentially. So every small decision that each of us are making can affect the quality of our life. And sometimes we make bad decisions, and the perception is, I can get really angry at myself or other people for this happening, or we could take full responsibility for that action and say, well, you know what? I learned a lesson. Now I'm going to have to recognize to do things just a little bit differently. So we're constantly, hopefully, growing as we make our decisions and as we're interacting with the people around us in this world. We always have to recognize that people, whether they're doing it consciously or subconsciously, are making decisions. They're making decisions about us. They're making decisions about our value to them based on their own personal values. If they're so caught up in the world that they are the most important person, they probably don't have as much, we don't have as much value to them. But a lot of that may come from the way that we sell ourselves to others. And so whether or not you're in the world of sales or you're not in the actual business of selling, you're always selling yourself and your ideas and ways of doing things with other people. And we need to keep that in mind because people are always judging us, even though they say they're not judgmental. We're all prejudiced in one way or another. This is kind of the way our brains work in order to protect us psychologically or physically from other people around us. So we're constantly evaluating the safety of the other people around us, the safety of the situation that we're in. And if we want to gain the most out of others, we need to have open body language. We need to always be honest and truthful and own our own mistakes. And we also need to recognize how people are perceiving us around us. And so we could do that by the way that we say things, thinking before we speak. We can do that by the way that we dress. And I know that everything is a perspective. But we need to recognize that how we present ourselves will affect the type of interaction that we get. If we're pushing people away with the way that we're acting, or if we look like we're closed off and angry, that could affect our relationship. So as we engage with everybody, we need to make sure that we're doing our part in creating a level playing field. And so sometimes recognizing what the best salespeople know about people as they're making their decisions, if we're applying those concepts, we could have the best interactions possible. Even though we're not trying to sell a product or service to someone, we're still helping people let them know that we are safe to be interacting with and that they want to be interacting with us because they see us as a person of value. So one, we have to recognize our own personal worth and recognize what we have to offer. Maybe we don't have anything to offer, but we know people that have answers to people's solutions. We always need to recognize that if we're offering our help to other people and we're doing it in a sincere way and in a way that feels safe, people are probably more likely to want to interact with us. We also need to recognize that people probably have other choices. Sometimes they don't, and they're just coming to us because we're the only option. But if we really if we recognize that we need others to be able to have more personal self-fulfillment or to be able to have the resources that we need to be doing our part in making sure that we're approachable and that we're adding value to that relationship with what we have to offer. And I think sometimes we get so busy. I think this thing about busyness is really important. Everybody's busy these days, but if they're too busy to put the right type of focus into doing things the right way, they're probably not going to get the best results. And this is the same thing for us as individuals. We need to be making time to do things right and do things well. And if you have the belief, the value, that if it's worth doing, it really is worth doing well, you'll give your undivided attention to that person, to building that relationship. You schedule time to create quality relationships with others. You spend quality time to focus on the situation and think through how to best work through the problem or situation or deliver value. So once we start doing that, it makes the quality of our relationships even better, where there's a lot more speed. And when we have high levels of trust that we've earned, because trust is earned and trust is always being tested, then we could have more expedited communication and returns. But we can never take relationships for granted. So being able to make sure that we are recognizing our own value, the value that other people see in us, we're being thorough in delivering above and beyond what people expect of us, that we are listening more than we're talking, where we're trying to make sure that we are evaluating, am I adding value with what I'm doing? Am I showing that I'm constantly listening as I'm interacting with this person, and I'm delivering what's expected? Those are the things that will help people make the best decisions possible. And this really is what people are going through when they're buying products and services. They're determining on a scale from 1 to 10, what's the value of this service? Well, on a scale from 1 to 10, what's the value of this relationship? What's the value of what this person has to offer in meeting my needs? So it really is interesting how we're constantly all making buying decisions with our interactions, and we're always determining value. If you are in a relationship, and I really love this, one of my favorite authors, Jack Canfield, he says that he asks his spouse on a regular basis, on a scale from 1 to 10, baby, how would you rate our relationship? And if his spouse says, well, sweetheart, it's only an 8, instead of going, okay, I'll take an 8, which is a B, he'll say, how can I make it a 9 or a 10? And so being able to show the other person that you're listening, that you value the other person, and that you want to add value to the relationship and meet and exceed those relationships, that takes work. That makes time and that takes focus. But where you put your time and your focus, that's where you get your results. So people are always weighing and evaluating value. And they're doing that when they're buying products, and they're doing that as they're engaging with you. So if you could constantly add value, and value is relative to the other person, and you're assessing that value, and you're assessing what their alternatives are, and showing that you can add value to the situation above and beyond what those alternatives are, within an honest, effective way that feels safe and authentic, then you're going to have speed in your relationships, you're going to have better quality of life, and you're going to have better overall satisfaction in your life. I hope this has been helpful on being able to see how people are making decisions that feels like the concepts of buying and selling in the real world. And we get to control how other people see us, generally speaking. I hope this has been of value to you, and I hope that you have a great day, because only you get to choose how you feel about it. I'm Dr. Paul Gerhardt.